Besem Ab world Mefescadus Adawamla Amin. Besem Ab world Mefescadus Adawamla Amin. Besem Ab world Mefescadus Adawamla Amin. Yes, good morning, and hope everyone's well on this Sunday. Just hope everything's happening in the positive directions that you want it to go in. So straight in with the reading, Deuteronomy chapter 7. Give thanks. Hear, Israel, you are to pass over the Jordan today, to go in to dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fortified up to the sky, a people great and tall, the sons of Anakim, whom you know and of whom you have heard say, who can stand before the sons of Anak? Know therefore today that Yahweh your God is he who goes over before you as a devouring fire. He will destroy them, and he will bring them down before you. You shall drive them out and make them perish quickly, as Yahweh has spoken to you. Don't say in your heart, after Yahweh your God has thrust them out from before you, for my righteousness Yahweh has brought me in to possess this land, because Yahweh drives them out from before you because of the wickedness of their nations and these nations' actions, not for your righteousness or for the uprightness of your heart do you go in to possess their land. But for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh your God does drive them out from before you, that he may establish the word which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Know therefore that your God Yahweh doesn't give you this good land to possess for your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people. Remember and don't forget how you provoked Yahweh your God to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that you left the land of Egypt until you came to this place. You have been rebellious against Yahweh. Also in Horeb you provoked Yahweh to wrath, and Yahweh was angry with you to destroy you. When I had gone up onto the mountain to receive the stone tablets, even the tablets of the covenant which Yahweh made from you, then I stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water. Yahweh delivered to me the two stone tablets written with God's finger. On them were all the words which Yahweh spoke with you on the mountain out of the middle of the fire in the day of the assembly. It came to pass at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave me two stone tablets, even the tablets of the covenant. Yahweh said to me, Arise, get down quickly from here, for your people whom you have brought out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have quickly turned away from the way in which I commanded them. They have been made molten images for themselves. Furthermore, Yahweh speaks to me, saying, I have seen these people, and behold, they are a stiff-necked people. Leave me alone, that I may destroy them, and blot out their name from under the sky, and I will make of you a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mountain, and the mountain was burning with fire. The two stone tablets of the covenant were in my two hands. I looked, and behold, you had sinned against Yahweh your God. You had made yourself a molded calf. You had quickly turned away from the way which Yahweh had commanded you. I took hold of the two tablets and threw them out of my two hands and broke them before your eyes. I fell down before Yahweh, as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water, because of all your sin and which you sinned, in doing that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, to provoke them to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasures with which Yahweh was angry against you to destroy you. But Yahweh listened to me that time also. Yahweh was angry enough with Aaron to destroy him. I prayed for Aaron also at that same time. I took your sin, the calf which you had made, and burned it with fire and crushed it, grinding it with very small until it was as fine as dust. I threw its dust into the brook that descended out of the mountain. At Taberah, at Massa, and at Kibroth Hattaavah, you provoked Yahweh to wrath, when Yahweh sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and possess the land which I have given you. You rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your God, and you didn't believe him or listen to his voice. You have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I knew you. So I fell down before Yahweh for 40 days and 40 nights that I fell down, because Yahweh had said that he would destroy you. I prayed to Yahweh and said, Lord Yahweh, don't destroy your people and your inheritance that you have redeemed through your greatness, that you have brought out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Don't look at the stubbornness of this people, nor at their wickedness, nor at their sin, lest the land you brought us out from say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them into the land which he promised to them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to the wilderness to kill them. Yet they are your people and your inheritance, which you brought out by your great powers and by your outstretched arm. For these few words I give thanks, blessings, and love. So this is a very powerful chapter by Moses. Moses speaking directly to the children of Israel. And he says, you are going to pass over the Jordan today, the river Jordan, into the land of Canaan, the promised land. But as he's doing this, he's also telling them off and rebuking them and humbling them, more importantly. So that, if they're going into this place called the promised land, that's a very big title, the promised land. And it's been promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't know how many years that's passed. That's going to be like 400 years, I think, since Abraham was in Genesis, through to all of the exploits that we've seen in Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers up to this point. So it's a huge amount of time, predates Joseph and the 12 tribes and everything, most of the things that we've seen so far in these readings. So it's a huge moment. But to do this, God and Moses sees fit that they must humble the people of Israel. So they're not going to the promised land saying, I'm getting this promised land because I'm so righteous, and aren't we great, and aren't we so pious, and aren't we so religious that God is rewarding us with this promised land. Is actually the opposite. So what God tells Moses to say, and Moses also from his own spirit, is that God has not given you this because of your righteousness. God has given you this because of their wickedness, in terms of the people of Canaan and the Hidonites, etc., and the Perizzites, that it's their wickedness, which is why God is punishing them by taking their land away, is not by your righteousness. So the only reason you are being blessed in this process is through the grace of God. So it's humbling them, for them not to think that they are, so pious and so religious that this is how they've been rewarded. And then Moses reminds them of all the sinful acts they've done along the way, when they built the bronze calf, when they disobeyed Yahweh going into the promised land because they didn't believe him anymore, and they wanted to overthrow Moses and actually set up a new leader to take them back to Egypt. So Moses is reminding them of all this and reminds them that God called them a stiff-necked people, meaning stubborn. So they're under no illusion by the end of this speech that the reason that they're being blessed with the promised land is because of God's grace to forgive them. But it's not because of their righteousness. It's actually because of the extreme sins of the people that they will be displacing, if you like. So, and it also talks about how, God is setting up, and I talked about this yesterday, this new example for the world to see that actually, these people could have been smitten or smitten, but they've been forgiven. They've been given this opportunity to now set God's kingdom on earth. And this is the example that he wants the whole of the world to follow. But there were times when God was on the cusp of giving up on these people, and Moses had to intercede on their behalf to say, don't give it all up now. You brought them out of Egypt with your strong hand, but if you give up on the children of Israel, then all the other nations are just going to say, God has failed. He brought them. He wanted to bring them to the promised land, but even he couldn't do it. So he's not as powerful as they say. So Moses had to remind Yahweh of that conversation, or of that promise that he gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this is essentially also what kept God working with the people. It's a very interesting relationship, I think, the one between Moses and God. And you don't really see that strong relationship happening again, where Moses is challenging God and God is learning and listening to Moses. We don't think about God in that way, even in that humble way, that he's learning and listening to Moses, and Moses is telling him off, and God is heeding that and taking that advice. It's a really fascinating relationship. And you can see why Moses was appointed, because God wanted that strong hand for himself. He also wanted that guidance, and he only saw Moses offering what no other human could offer. So it's a hugely significant relationship, but it is one tempered in equidistance and equality, because Moses has already been punished and he's not allowed to enter the promised land, and we've spoken about that in previous chapters. So really powerful and illuminating for many reasons, but this one of humbling the people, that they're not thinking that they are the ultra and to be rewarded for all the good they've done. They've been reminded within no certain terms that they've got more work to do, that they are far from perfect, and with God's grace, none of this will be possible. And I think that's an important message for many of us to remember ourselves. With God's grace, nothing that we have would be possible or palatable for us. So lots to think about here. Blessings and love. Have a blessed rest of the Sunday, or whichever day it is you catch up with this recording, and God willing, I'll be back more tomorrow for Deuteronomy chapter 10. Give thanks.